This is Football Focus Weekly with CFI, Charlotte Football Insiders. Starring the pet man Matt Morrow, owner and founder of CFI. With him we have Cherie Glenn, our lead reporter, knocking out interviews, going all over the place, just being the queen of CFI. We have Brandon Black, the man behind the camera, the producer, and our photographer does a great job getting those shots every week. We have with us assistant West Charlotte football coach Brandon Billups. Very energetic young man. Former head coach at Central Cabarrus and East Rowan High Schools, Kenneth McClamrock, one of our big football experts. And then last but certainly not least, we have Josh Kroll, former Christ the King head coach, former offensive coordinator at multiple schools. And we are Football Focus Weekly.
Good evening, everyone. Pep Man Matt Morrow, Charlotte Football Insiders, Football Focus Weekly. I got my QCB shirt on, never heard of him. If you used to listen to WFNZ, he was the great guy that used to come in on them 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock segments with the great comedy. Moved over to Fox Sports Radio Charlotte, had to buy one of his shirts. One of the best guys in sports talk around the city, so I'm supporting him. And I got a little bit of sound off to talk about a little never heard of him segment I came up with. But we're going to get to that later on. So first off, obviously, I'm going to bring in our special guest host tonight. Works for the Gaston Gazette, does a great job covering the area we're talking about tonight, Big Soft 3A. And that is Joe Hughes. And we're going to get ready to bring him on here in just a second. As soon as I get my stuff together. Here we go. And there he is. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well. Great to finally be in with you.
Yeah, man. We talked about doing something like this last season, and we finally got around to getting together and doing it. And I appreciate you coming on here tonight, being a guest host, and giving us a lot of your insight into this Big South 3A. Real quick, how long have you been doing what you're doing with the Gazette in different places?
Shoot, I've been with the Gazette for about 2 years, but prior to that was at the Gaffney Ledger in South Carolina, as well as the Myrtle Beach Sun News in South Carolina as well. So know a little bit about South Carolina, and recently started dipping my foot in North Carolina and kind of love it. So it's fun.
Good stuff, man. Well, once again, I appreciate you coming on tonight. We're going to bring everybody in because we're getting ready to have a big discussion here about what we learned today. And today we learned about the new North Carolina High School Athletic Association schedule. When it came out, watched it live with Q Tucker. I thought they did a good job overall with the schedule. I want to pose an open floor to you guys to give your thoughts first off. Let's go to the Juice Man since he always bats lead off, and we'll give him his thoughts or let you hear his thoughts on what the NCHSAA did today.
Well, first off, man, happy to be back. I was gone last week, so I'm happy to be back here. Man, Miss Q Tucker, man, I couldn't sing your praises even louder today than the leadership that you exhibited today, the leadership that you've been showing and exhibiting. But I am really singing your praises today. And there's literally nothing that anybody can say to me negatively about what you showed and you exemplified today during that live session today, man. I could tell that you guys have been working, and I know I have been very critical on your process, and I apologize, but not really. But you showed me, you shut me up today. You did an excellent job showcasing what you guys have been working on, and everybody knows, man. This is what I've been preaching. This I've been a fan of this move since we started hearing some school districts are starting to have the rumblings and knowing that the coronavirus wasn't getting better. I've been a fan of this. I've been here on Football Focus Weekly. We had a debate, and I really was a fan of this move. So my hat goes off. Congratulations, Miss Q Tucker, on a great move you made. And I think 2021 is going to be a phenomenal fiscal year for all of the athletic programs across the state. And it's going to be very, very interesting, man. I'm glad that we're kind of starting to move a little bit past this, and only time will tell how successful this is going to be.
Yeah, that's well said, Coach. And going back to our debate, you did say spring ball would be better. I guess you ultimately did win that debate session, but that's okay. I'm a man. I can admit when I'm defeated.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, so we're gonna go to Coach Billups next, the illustrious Coach Billups, and we'll get his thoughts on what he felt about the schedule that was released today.
First off, before I say anything, I want to shout Coach Crowell, because he probably one of the few coaches I've seen that was man enough to admit that he put pressure on Q Tucker in the state to put that schedule out. So hey, big shout out to Juice, man. I like that. Secondly, I've been saying this from day one. When they put the schedule out, there's not gonna be a lot of people who don't be. There don't be people who happy about it. There don't be people who don't be so critical of it. Guys, she gave you what you want. The state and everybody gave you what you want. Now it's up to the athletic directors for them to make a plan for us to follow. It's back in the LEA's hands. What are they going to do? What are they going to allow this process to go? Which I think it should happen. It's all in the phase 3 stuff, but I'm finally glad that I could log on to my Twitter account and we could actually see adults being adults, because that's what I've been critical of. Like, we just been taking shots at leadership. We got the plan. I'm happy. I'm glad my boy at Mooresville gets to finally, make his debut as a head basketball coach. It's small victories that I'm very happy for. I hate it for the indoor track folks. I was hoping they could get in with that first part, because there's a lot of student athletes that play multi-sports that get their rocks off in indoor track, not outdoor track. But, you can't be picky. But I'm just glad we got a plan. I'm going to be in hibernation mode like the rest of my lines, and we don't come out in February and we don't be ready to shock the world.
Well said, Coach. Well said. All right, let's go to our infamous queen of CFI, Cherie Glenn, and get her perspective on what came out today.
I'm applauding Q Tucker and the rest of the NCHSA for ultimately making the right decision. I, along with Kroll, have been, kind of leaning toward the side of spring ball. And, like I've always said, it's about the safety of these kids. And obviously, we're still not at a place, that we can be comfortable with to allow them to play in the fall. This gives all the schools enough time to formulate some sort of plan that can make it safe for everyone involved. And so, my hat just goes off to her for that.
Well said. Well said. I think her leadership, has shown strong throughout this whole process, like, everyone else said. All right, let's go to the producer extraordinaire, self-proclaimed Brandon Black, and get his perspective.
Well, I think I got to start off by just giving props to the NC powers that be. I don't envy anyone that had to play a part in making this decision. I know it was tough, and there's no really guide or something to measure against to say, because this is an unprecedented event. But ultimately, I think this was the right call. I think all the coaches, the staffs, and players can finally just have a relief to saying, hey, okay, like McLaren Rock talked about a couple weeks ago, just to make a decision. So there is a plan in place. A decision has been made rather than just having to proceed and wonder. So now when you're going to start, when things will kick off, how long the season will be. So it's much easier to prepare now. And while it's not ideal, I think 7-game season is better than a 0-game season. I guess the one consolation is that ultimately you will have, especially some seniors, you're probably going to see a lot of guys that have signed their letters of intent that are just going to say sit out. They're going to say, well, I don't have anything else to gain. I got more risk in playing 7 more high school football games than I do anything to gain. So You will. Unfortunately, we've probably already seen a lot of star players play their last game. That's just the harsh reality. But I think at the end of the day, it was a good decision to get an abbreviated season as opposed to canceling it altogether.
Yeah, and you mentioned some star players, electing to move on to the next level. Two notables locally. Power Eccles has already come out and said he's moving on to North Carolina, along with Dontavius Nash, in Gaston County at Hunter Huss. And we're going to bring in Joe Hughes now and get his perspective on, the schedule that came out today and his thoughts.
Yeah, overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. The main thing that I was looking for was trying to see what the balance. Would they have balance between football, volleyball, all the other sports as well? And they did that adequately. And fairness, if we're going to talk about fairness, equity, and health, I think they addressed all three of those. They made sure that all sports were addressed. They made sure that each one got their time, and they also made sure that, and they dotted their I's and crossed their T's when it came to the health component as well, which is probably the main thing that we're all dealing with here, and the main reason why we're even having this conversation at all. So I applaud them as well. There were times where I wondered, hey, when are they going to make a decision? We're in limbo here. Let's do something. I'm glad they finally made a decision, and we can all move forward.
Yeah, that's well said. And, I want to say this. I think, a lot of people around the state must have watched last week's show because, Ken McClamrock, who's going to be with us a little later, had something to do right now. But hashtag make a freaking decision. Well, now they made a freaking decision. So amazing how the power of Football Focus Weekly has made things happen within the state of North Carolina. My thoughts real quick before we get into some questions that, people have posed through DM and on Twitter and Facebook and so forth, so on. First thing I want to talk about is the games. So right now they're saying 7 regular season games for football. Some kids were disappointed in that. But reality is, it's better than 0, It's better than 0. They are talking about doing playoffs. They haven't come up with a definite structure of what that would look like just yet. But the big question I want to ask the panel right now, and I'm going to bring everybody in so we can get their perspective here. The big question I want to ask you guys is, in the meantime, what do we do right now if you're a football player here in North Carolina and you're not playing until February? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Hey, Bills, go ahead, Bills. I know you're ready.
There we go.
Hey, if me being the person I am, because I'm more than just a football coach. I'm a person who builds relationships. I'm just a leaf on that family branch, that family tree you already have, and I'm just here to support you, guys. Keep doing what, get in them books. You're a student first. Athletic careers are not promising. They're just a tool. But your education is the biggest tool you can set yourself up for success with. And so right now, I know it sucks. I know it's not what you wanted, but y'all getting a life lesson early. This is how life goes. Sometimes the marbles just fall out the bag and you got to pick it up. And you don't have to put them back in different ways. But, you have your family support. You have your coach's support. But hit them books hard. Keep doing your conditioning, doing what your outstanding coaching staff is already telling y'all to do. Stay ready. But right now, you need to conquer your first mission. And that's to make sure you got that 2.0 or higher. Student, athlete first. Your books to take you farther than your athletic ability ever could take you. And I think that's what we need to see more of. Because I don't see parents post that. One of the greatest posts I ever seen on Twitter is my son's more than just an athlete. He's a chemical engineer. And I was just seeing all this stuff. I was like, wow, I love it, because we tend to, especially in my community, we tend to lay out all our hopes and dreams that we all just thinking about ball don't take it this way. But there's a lot of people who may have the illustrious West Charlotte on educational scholarships and stuff like that. Football was just an outlet, it's just another way, but it was not our only way. So right now, you need to be the best student you can be. You go out there and get them 3 O's now, be the greatest teammate you can be. I'm rooting for everybody, and I'll see y'all in February.
It's well said, man. That's well said. And I want to bring up a point. I had a conversation very recently with a parent and a young man who were concerned about recruiting and offers and things like that. And I asked them, what the GPA was. And the GPA was okay. It wasn't anything, great. And that's one of the biggest misconceptions about recruiting is if you're just a great player that you can just automatically go to college and be a star at Clemson or North Carolina or anything like that. If you don't have the grades, you're not going to be able to qualify to get into those schools at all. And that's one of the things I think was a wake-up call when I had this conversation, with this family. And a lot of people don't realize how important those grades are. So that's a great message, Coach Phillips. If you can get a couple points higher in your GPA in this first semester when you're not playing football, that could, be the difference in getting an offer and a scholarship somewhere and paying thousands of dollars at the end of the day. So I'm going to open it back up to the panel and ask, everyone else once again, your thoughts on what else can football players do until February to be ready?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna start calling my boy Coach Williams, man. I'm gonna start calling him Plies, man. Plies put out a video the other day where he said exactly what Billups was saying, man, and Billups said it even more articulate, man, that football is not all that you are. Football is what you choose to be. And you have so many other options, but as it pertains to what you do for, in February, man, as coaches, we have these excellent phrases and these great, these catchphrases that these kids learn. We say things like "stay ready" so you ain't got to get ready. We say things like "always come prepared." Be the first in, last out. That don't change right now. As a matter of fact, right now is when you start kicking in those pieces and those parts. Those things that your coach has been telling you. Hopefully, coaches do invest in these kids emotionally. So these things that coaches have been saying to these kids, now is the time for you to start digging into that bank. Coaches, it's not only about the players. What are they doing until February? Coaches, you got a lot on your plate now. You have a date. It wasn't enough when I was in high school for you to know prom was coming. It was about when you knew what the prom date was. So you got enough time. I got enough time to figure out who my date gonna be, what color my suit gonna be, what color is if I'm gonna wear a cummerbund or I'm gonna wear my jacket open. What am I gonna do? So players, you have that. You now know your prom date. You need to be working on your craft, every single piece of your craft, whether it's inside the classroom, whether it's at home, being a responsible student, athlete, and child to your family, as well as being a better athlete. You know what to do. And if you don't know what to do, then get around your coaches. Your coaches should be taking this time now to help to guide you to go in the right direction. There's a lot that a lot of people got to do up until February. And check your clocks. August is flying by. You're going to look up in January, going to be here. You ain't putting no work in. And your grades going to suffer. Your relationship at the house going to suffer. And you ain't going to be able to play on the field. So you got a lot of time, man, but it ain't really that much time. You got to get to it, man.
Great points. I'm going to throw this out there because we were getting ready to come on live, and I literally just got tagged in a tweet. And I'm going to share what this tweet was. And I'm just going to, let me pull it up and read it verbatim. It's Blazing 7-on-7. Great organization. Does 7-on-7 stuff in the offseason. They literally just dropped a fall 7-on-7 league.
Oh.
So I'm going to ask you guys, if you're a coach, do you advocate your kids going to play in the Blazing 7-on-7 fall league or a league similar of that nature? Because, I'm giving this, this platform because Blazing is a great organization. They do a great job. But any this league or any other type 7-on-7 leagues, your players, if you're a coach, do you allow them to play in this platform?
I'm retired from coaching.
I'll go ahead and say it. I'll jump on this ledge. It's like I've been saying I've been on this ledge by myself. As part of my shout out, we as coaches, you cannot tell a kid, we gotta stop this thing like we own these kids. They got a mama and daddy at home. Life is like a tree. That ground that tree shoot up, that's that family, that's that sturdiness, that's your foundation. The branches are all the life that come around. We're just a leaf. We don't be sturdy, we don't stay, or we might blow away. But that foundation's always going to stay. If a kid can handle his academics and go out there and still do this blazing 7-on-7, please do it. If Q Tucker, I think she said something about allowing us, but right now I really think kids should take this opportunity. You have an opportunity to boost them GPAs, because them GPAs help you get recruited more than what you think. Take some SAT prep courses. Coaches, let's start in telling these kids to embrace these educational grind. I pursue some educational gains right now. Now, I'm not saying football is great. I love coaching football. I love coaching DBs. I love coaching linebackers. I can't wait to get on the football field. But life, as much as 18-year-old Brandon Billy thought he was going to be an NFL star, I had to realize something. I was 5'10", 195 pounds, and I ran a 4.5 40 and playing corner. You ain't going to go to the league like that. And I was not that good. I was decent. But we got to start making stronger life show. I want to see kids come to me. There's a basketball player problem. She's going to play big-time ball. But she has more aspiration of being a doctor than a basketball player. She used basketball to help her achieve her life dreams. So there's nothing wrong with it. Like, let them go out there and play 7-on-7. We all, as coaches, we got to stop this coaching versus trainer thing. Coaching versus 7-on-7. We do not make these decisions who they get to play for. I know we don't hear all these coaches. Well, I tell them they can play 7-on-7 ball. It's not our call. If their parent, I'm not paying for it. One of my kids come, hey, I want to play 7-on-7. All right, your mom and daddy say, cool, I'm cool. But I would be like, hey, like right now, there's no way for them to get burned. It's keeping them active, so let them do it. Blazing do it. They do a fall league. They do a winter league. But so I'm not mad at it, but we got to stop trying to dictate what these kids do. You got to stop. We're not their mama and daddy. I don't got vows on one. She 2. I can't put her out there on 7-on-7, but she wanted to go play. Hey, come on, let's go. But that's my choice as a parent. We got to stop trying as coaches to be these kids' parents. They quit saying they all come from these broken households. They just come from harder adversity. They got adversity they face. That's why I'm getting to my shout out. Let me stop.
Yeah, I see you in the Zen focus mode tonight, man. I see you are dialed in. You dialed in, man.
Hey, I got a message tonight, baby. Some people ain't gonna like it.
My brother glad to have the juice man back. He glad to have me back in the building. He coming with some heat tonight, boy.
But you feel me, Coach? We can't tell them. We can't tell them that.
Coach, we have the ability to walk and chew bubble gum at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know why coaches think that a kid is supposed to be one dimension. You only supposed to focus on this, and this is all you supposed to focus on. That's not reality. We live in a world now where you can engage with people from all around the world. We must be better, and I think a part of the education system says something about global citizenship.
Yeah.
That flows over to athletics as well. We can walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. A kid that wants to get some work right now, that kid is not hurting you. And furthermore, you are not supposed to try to convince this kid to stop being active. Only do what you saying, do this. What happens if he does what you saying do only, and it ends up not being successful for him? Mm-hmm. These families have to make the best decisions for their children. And we have to trust. Even when I was coach, I had to believe in the fact that these parents could make the best decisions for their children. If I felt like I needed to interject, I still had to be conscious of the fact that this baby don't go to my house. This child does not go to my home. I don't have to feed them when they walk into the house. So we have to be conscious of the fact that we have to be supportive. We have to love these kids unconditionally, but we have to be supportive. And that comes with us being a little selfless. I don't know too much about the 7-on-7 league, but if it's going to help these kids to stay out of trouble, because, my grandma used to tell me an idle mind was the devil's workshop. That's what my grandma used to tell me. So to have these kids to be able to have something to do in the meantime, let them do it. Let them do it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly what my man just said. Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Guys, I'm not.
I'll tell you, if I was coaching, I would advocate for a balance, like you guys are saying. Focus on your studies because you got to be eligible.
Yeah.
When you get to that second semester, if you're not eligible, it doesn't matter. What you're doing, how hard you grinding on the field, because you can't play. I mean, that's the thing that you can't lose sight of. And you're no good if you're not eligible, obviously. And then you're hurting your chances for scholarship. And then it just goes on down the line. Grades are the thing that feed into any kind of success you're going to have on the field in the second semester or trying to get to the next level. All right, so we're going to pause on the discussion. We're going to come back to it later on in the show. But we got our first guest ready to go. And I'm going to go solo here and get ready to bring him on here. This coach has just become the new head coach at Ashbrook High School. Ashbrook has a great tradition of winning throughout the years. Matter of fact, they knocked us out the playoffs at Harding in the first round. We had a great team. We barely lost that game, 23-21. Not that it still bothers me, but still, I'm just saying. But anyway, excited to talk with him. We've talked a little bit, through social media, text message. Seems like a really good guy. Anxious to get to know him and bring him on the show. And that is Ashbrook head coach Darius James. We're gonna bring him on here with us right now. How are we doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you coming on tonight.
No problem.
First off, yeah, absolutely. So first off, I just want to ask you, just share with everyone a little bit about your background and how you became, the new head coach over at Ashbrook.
Okay, so it's a really weird way that I got to Ashbrook. I haven't been in education my whole, job career. I actually graduated from Ashbrook in 2002. From there, I went to the military. From that point, I came home and I actually began coaching for a Pop Warner team, and I coached there for probably 8 years. I wanted to get up into high school, so I reached out to our now AD, Jake Eccles, and he kind of helped me getting in to Ashbrook. So I've been there ever since.
Very good, man. So I want to ask you about, your philosophy as a coach. Are you offensive, defensive guy? What kind of things can we expect from the Green Wave when you start getting on the field on both sides of the ball?
Okay, I'm very, very much offensive guy. I have a wing T background. But this year we're switching. We're going a little bit more air raid pass concepts, and that's going to allow us to keep some of those same gap scheme concepts with the air raid packaging. What can we expect? I tell people all the time, we have a lot of athletes. I think our biggest strength this year will be our offensive line. We only lost one guy from our varsity team last year on the offensive line. But other than that, we have a lot of athletes. We got a 3-year starting quarterback. We got a sophomore, which you had on your show, Carmelo Best, that is going to be, he's going to be some problems. We have a running back, Travion Crank, We got defensive players. So we'll do a lot of formationing, try to get to the outside on some people and see how that goes.
Yeah, I see we got a comment kind of, shouting you out for being on social media. More excitement from the program in the last 2 months than other coach being there 12 years. I mean, that's a great endorsement in itself right there. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. I'm going to bring in somebody Coach Brandon Billups, who has a question for you.
Hey, don't start
Let
nothing.
go. My battle buddy, man, gonna come. You already know I ain't gonna make you look bad. You my guy. You are my guy. You know,
What's
us
up with
Army
you, bro?
guys. What's up, man? Us Army guys, we gotta look out for each other. You know that.
Hey, look, something funny. When I first got on Twitter, I really didn't know anybody. And I used to look at his message. He would tweet all the time in the mornings. So I was like, man, I like this dude, man. I'm gonna message him, and I did. And to see if he wanted to come to Ashbrook. At the time, he said he wasn't, but wasn't in the coaching. But I see he's coaching now, and that's great, man.
Yeah, man, you already know. I always got you back. You know that. Us Army guys, we are used to fragos and, people, that new butter bar coming there, swear they know everything. How are you staying prepared with all these changes and stuff like this? I know you're doing a great job. How are you changing your off-season workouts? What are you telling your guys now? Are you like me? You've been in that little green book, riding away saying, hey, we got to adjust this, adjust it, because we operate best in chaos.
Right. And the best way to answer that, man, is communication. Some of the guys that I brought on board with me, man, are some great dudes. And, this is a time that I can give them to grow and to feel some type of ownership in what we do. So it's including everybody and just communicating, having that open line of communication.
Very good. Good stuff, man. You're only as good as your staff.
Right.
That's for sure. That's for sure. We're going to bring in Cherie Glenn, and she's got a question for you as well, Coach.
How we doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. I heard you're the highest paid staff member.
That might be true. I'm just kidding. So it's your first, season here. What are some of the goals that you have, for your team this season?
And the first couple of goals that I have nothing to do with football. What I was able to do last year with our JV team, one was increase participation. We had 19 players the previous year, which last year we had 49. We also were able to raise our GPAs to a 3.01. So one of the first things I want to do is make sure that we're doing what we have to do in the classroom. I think people have a perception of Ashbrook that I don't like and I want to change. But in me wanting to change that, I have to, instill in our kids so they can see that and they want to change it. The other thing is getting back to giving back. I think that helps our students more than anything to, give up their time, that, sacrifice what they're doing to help somebody else. It gives more appreciation to just life in general.
That's good. That's good, man. Coming in and having those kind of goals that are achievable off the field,
Right.
really will affect those results on the field. We got our resident coach, Kenneth McClamrock, that wants to ask you a question as well, Coach.
Coach, what's up, brother?
How you doing today, man?
I'm well, man. Hey, I know you guys came out to our scrimmage that we hosted last year.
Yeah.
And I know that you guys finished the season, won, I think, 2 of your last 3 games after a rough start or something like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
From what I remember, unless you guys changed it when the season began. But you guys were a double wing team, man, and all that misdirection stuff. So what has it been like this offseason transitioning to an air raid look, man? The spread, gun it out, sling it out. I know your quarterback's happy. I know your receivers are happy, and that gets athletes out. But what's that transition been like, especially being all virtual?
So, rightfully so, the kids were excited about it. I think we've been trying to have Zoom meetings and do all those different things. And one of the biggest hurdles, I think, is getting the kids to be more committed online. We have a lot of kids that have to work and have to do all these other things besides football. So that has been difficult as far as putting in the playbook. But we just switched to a new playbook tool, Just Play, and I think it's going to help us out tremendously, and just getting them to understand the playbook. Like I was saying earlier, I am a wing T guy, so I think we're going to keep some of those same gap scheme concepts in our run game. It's the pass game, I think, that we're going to have to do a lot of work, but we got a lot of great guys on the staff to help with that as well.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. When I used to be an offensive coordinator, I used to love to spread and throw the football, and I never was a wing T guy, so I commend you for taking that on. That's awesome.
Hey, and what I've learned just from Twitter is air raid and wing T guys go at it a lot. So I'm gonna try to mend the fences.
That's good stuff, man. So you mentioned some of the kids that expect to stand out for you. We had two on our preseason all-conference team, Carmelo Best and Jadon Soul. Talk about those guys and then some other guys you expect to stand out for you this upcoming season.
Well, Jadon, man, I told him in February, or might have been January, he was a little bit frustrated about recruiting. And I told him, man, take care of what you can take care of and everything will work out. And he's done that. And I want to say thank you to you because, the day after he appeared on here, my phone was off the hook, ringing off the hook for him. So that was a great thing. He's become more of a leader. He's become more positive. Those are the characteristics he needs in order to succeed. He can play football. He knows that. But when he shores up all those things, he's going to be a great player for us. Carmelo Best, at being only a sophomore, he probably has the best work ethic I've ever seen. He don't take plays off. He's a smart football player. He's tough. He's definitely going to be a big thing. Chandler Meeks, very smart kid. He rarely ever gets rattled. He's a dual athlete. He plays baseball as well. He is tough. You can watch some of his film and you see him come around the corner and you expect him to go out of bounds and he's running people over. We got Jay Poole. He's a little bit undersized linebacker, but again, he's tough, hard as nails, and he'll come after you. We got a bunch of young guys. Offensive lineman Alex Hammond, very smart kid. He's real tough. He started for 2 years on varsity, so he's a veteran. He has leadership qualities. So I think we, as a team, we will be young in the skill positions, but I think their athleticism will carry over their youth.
Very good, man. I agree with you with Carmelo. I interviewed him a little while back, and I just looking through his highlights, and just seeing him play with Carolina Stars, and he really goes to get it. That's why I know he's young, but he impressed the heck out of me.
I'll tell you with Carmelo, Carmelo has a twin sister, and she plays on our basketball team, but she. I think she may go harder than him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, she has a dog mentality. It's crazy to see, but they're both very athletic and very smart.
Good stuff. So we got Joe Hughes from the Gaston Gazette wants to come on and ask you a question. He definitely agreed with what you said about best of sisters. So we're gonna bring him in right here.
What's happening, Coach?
My man, what's up?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Wanted to touch base with you about your two of your assistants. You have Trey Bryce and Zeke Bigger. What really made you want to bring those two in and make an impact with your kids?
I think with Zeke, if you've met Zeke, he has that bigger than life personality. And I think our kids need to see that type of success. Did he go on to have a long NFL career? No, but he's successful. I think, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do was we wanted to redefine success. Most of these kids nowadays is D1 or bust, and that's not going to get you anywhere once you don't get that. So, he's he surprised me at how smart he was defensively when we finally got on the board, man. His enthusiasm is contagious. He's ready, chomping at the bit to get out there. With Trey, I know Trey's family. His uncle Robbie, I played at Ashbrook with his uncle Robbie. So I know what type of family he comes from. I just had a talk with him yesterday, and he told me, I've played football, so I got that dog in me. I want to learn how to be the best coach that I can be, and that's what I'm looking for, man. I want to have people around our kids that are going to love them, that are going to be willing to sacrifice, but also be willing to learn.
Very good. That's how I got into coaching, being a former player. You just get around kids and you start fall in love with the aspect of coaching, and it can take you a lot of places. So that's awesome and commendable that you're able to bring in some former Green Wave players to kind of guide these young men through these times that we're in right now. Coach, appreciate you coming on, man. It was great to get to know you a little bit. And like I said before, I like to do these things in person. So we sit down and have some off-camera conversations.
Yeah, most definitely.
and kind of get to know you personally a little bit. So hopefully when this stuff settles down, we're able to come over there and sit down with you and get some players on camera and get you on camera again, and get to know you and your program even more. So.
Yes, sir.
Once again, Coach, I appreciate you coming on tonight, man. Thank you so much.
No problem. Hey, that next fella that you're gonna have on, tell him we were supposed to play November 6th. I don't know what day that they're gonna change it to, but tell him we coming.
I'm sure myself and the panel will be glad to do that. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it, man.
Right, thank you.
All right, so that was Ashbrook head coach Darius James coming on, talking to us about his program at Ashbrook. I think they're going to do some, really special things over there. They got some good young talent, like he was saying, that's coming together. And we're hopefully, we're able to have this, adjusted schedule and see them on the field real soon. All right, so now it is time for everyone's favorite Football Focus Weekly segment, because it's the only segment we have. It's time to sound off. And of course, when we sound off, we got to lead it off with our leadoff hitter, the juice man, Coach Josh Kroll. And I see he's in the background and he's fired up and he's ready to go. So, juice man, you got it. Let's sound off, baby.
Let's go, baby. Sound off, sound off. Here we go. The ACC and the SEC. We got a problem. Listen, there's already this weird stigma that the Southerners, we must be a little slower. And I'm very, very disappointed in the ACC and the SEC because here's an opportunity to show solidarity. Here's an opportunity to show that everybody ain't being greedy. Everybody ain't trying to just get theirs. This is an opportunity for us to all say, this is where we are all going to start. And y'all decide that y'all want to go far left field. Another person, another group of people, the MEAC and the SWAC. At what point are you going to decide to be leaders? You had an opportunity before the Pac-12, before the Big Ten, before all of these other conferences came out and said they're going to postpone and move to the spring. You had an opportunity to be the leaders and finally be on the forefront of something. And you have now missed that opportunity. Now you got Power 5 where you going to be at. So what you going to do? I told you 2021 could have been a great fiscal year for HBCU football. And guess what you did? You fumbled the ball. We could have moved homecomings to the spring. We could have moved everything to the spring. And now we sit here twiddling our thumbs, waiting to see what Power 5 going to do. Come on, man. Unacceptable. I'm off this, man. Sound off.
You know, Coach Juice Man, I should say, has had some really particular things about, black college football that have just not, gone well. And, I have to agree. I have to agree with everything he's saying. All right. Producer extraordinaire Brandon Black, we're going to bring you in to sound off. Let's go.
I think it's just looking very interesting. I'm kind of, piggybacking on a bit what Coach said, but kind of going in a different direction. That you got, some conferences saying we're gonna postpone. We're not gonna play in the fall. Some, as of right now, still saying, hey, we are gonna play in the fall. So it's kind of messy right now. It's like, okay, because some of these schools were gonna play each other in non-conference games. So okay, so those games got to change or get canceled. I just think the NCAA as a whole needs to be on the same page. It's just going to be really weird to try to say, okay, a couple conferences are going to play in fall, then a couple going to play in the spring. Okay, so how do you do that? Are you going to have two champions, a fall champion and a spring champion? Are the fall teams going to just wait until the end of the spring and then do a playoff? Like, how are you going to do that? How can you have some people playing in the fall and some people playing in the spring? It's just a big mess now. And then to make it even more complicated, you got some schools saying, as an individual, we're going to play or we're going to postpone or we're going to cancel season altogether. It's just a big mess. I just don't – everyone needs to be on the same accord, like either all playing spring or not. I mean, it's just weird. How are you going to have a champion in playoffs and stuff like that if some teams play now and some teams play in the spring? It's just a big mess. So everybody needs to get on the same page somehow.
Yeah, I agree. And there are people talking about having a commissioner of college football. And, right now, I think we need some kind of central leadership here because, we got Nebraska talking about they want to break off and go play in another conference. You just can't do that. You just can't go leave another conference and go play. So, all right, Queen of CFI, Sheree Glenn, it's your time. Sound off.
Okay. So I'm actually sounding off about, the announcement that was made earlier today by Q Tucker. there's a lot of unpopular opinion about, playing now versus playing in the spring, but, more than just, Power deciding he wanted to go ahead and go to UNC, more power to him. But I think this is more about the kids that are coming up after these seniors that are graduating this year. I get that there are some seniors who still feel like, they probably needed to get a little more time to, be able to get whatever offers they thought they were going to get. But, you have these sophomores and juniors coming up who, they need the reps, they need for other leaders to be able to step up during this time. So I think that there are a lot of positives to still possibly having the season in the spring. So, just again, shouting out to Q Tucker for that.
Absolutely. Like we said earlier, I think, she's done a good job. And, there are going to be some kids having opportunities here that, may not have had those opportunities with some of these star players playing, their senior seasons out. All right. So y'all kind of waited to hear from him. He was trending last week on Twitter. Hashtag make a freaking decision. So hold on to your hats, because I don't know what we got tonight. But here he is. Big Kenny McClamrock. Sound off, baby. I turn your mic on, Ken.
I'm gonna say this. God, dog, I'm so excited. I forgot to push on mute. I'm gonna answer Brandon really quickly. What are we gonna have? Are we gonna have a fall champion, a spring champion? This is what we're setting up for. UCF to claim that they are about to win their second national championship of the past 4 years. This is what we're setting up with. The University of Sewanee, where one of my former quarterbacks is playing, is getting ready to win the national championship, just like they did in 1899 when they beat Auburn and South Carolina and Alabama and everybody else. But that's not even where I'm going. Let me tell you something about this signed off, Pep. How incredible of a show have you created here on Football Focus Weekly? Let me just start right here. Just so everyone's clear. We are the #1 prep sports internet show in the area, potentially in the entire 704 area code, potentially in the entire state of North Carolina, potentially in the entire Southeast. Why do I say that? Just how big are we? Just how influential are we? Just how much power do we have? For months, the North Carolina High School Athletic Association gave us nothing. For months, we got on here. Are we going to play? Are we going to play this week? Are we going to play next week? Are we going to play this month? Are we going to play next month? Are we going to play in the fall? Are we going to play in the winter? Are we going to play in the spring? What are we going to do? And then notice what happened last week. Last week, 7 days ago, 168 hours ago, the power started. The revolution started. The hashtag make a freaking decision started. It invaded the internet. It took over Twitter. It took over social media. And what happened? 7 days later, the NCHSAA said, shoot, Pet Man Show, Football Focus Weekly is coming back on tonight. We better make a decision because we know that show is going to be even harder today than it was last week. So what happened just a few hours ago before we could get on the air? They made a freaking decision. So everyone out there, parents, grandparents, kids, coaches, community members, school board members, you're welcome. You're welcome. Regardless of what the decision was, you're welcome. Because of the power of this show, the #1 prep sports show around. We now have a decision. We now have a direction. We may not know what the playoffs look like yet. We may not know what conference schedules look like yet, but we know we will be playing. So on behalf of Football Focus Weekly, you're welcome. We'll continue to do our job. Now, young men, coaches, parents, get out there and do your job. Sound off, baby.
I got to follow that. Oh, man, I tell you. I had a segment with never heard of them, QCB prepared, but it kind of was going to be similar to what you just said, Coach. So I ain't even going to go there. So my sound off pretty much is, we got through the first wave of this thing. All right, so the NCHSAA came out and they made their schedule. All right, so now Charlotte, the ball is in your court. Okay, we still need to have a decision on, are we going to allow athletics in remote learning? That's part 2 of this thing. So, if you're a Charlotte, parent or a Charlotte player, we're not out of the woods just yet. So just keep that in mind. That's the next shoe that's got to drop on this thing before we definitely are able to have football. And I'm going to say to you, CMS, I'm going to tell you right now, you got a great chance to save some face here and go ahead and allow athletics in remote learning. Now, if you come out here and you dilly-dally around and you say, well, we got to wait till phase 3 to make a decision, and, this stuff is subject to change, and we got to wait on this and that, you're going to drop the ball. You're going to drop the ball, and you may have a parent anarchy along with kids coming down to CMS headquarters again to try to make a statement because, it's simple now. It's simple now. Get a waiver together. Kids that want to play, parents that want their kids to play, let them sign the waiver, figure it out legal wise, and just find a way to get it done, man. I mean, the state sets you up. It's like a volleyball. They got the setup going now. All you have to do is come down and spike the ball. And if you miss the ball and the ball just drops on the floor, we're going to be right back where we've been these past couple of weeks. Coach McClaren going crazy trying to make change in the world on our show because we can't get this done. All right, that's all I got to say. I ain't going crazy this week. I'll let Coach McClaren do that. All right, we're going to end with Coach Billups because Coach Billups has a special message that I think, really needs to kind of go out here. And he's going to sound off right now. Go ahead, Coach. You can turn your mic on. There you go. Well, there we go. All right, okay. Now we're good.
So usually I come on here and I'll be the funny guy. But today I want to talk about something serious. I mean, Pat Man don't talk to my AD. Shout out to Josh Harris. My own quote a tweet that I saw today by the most famous philosopher on Twitter, Plies. Some of these big time college coaches ran from the cameras and was silent during the Black Lives Matter movement, but they front and center now about playing college football. I'm gonna reverse that now. Some of my counterparts who coach high school football been on the front line. We want to play. But the same people, when it was time to talk about Black Lives Matter or anything about social injustice, they were quiet as a church mouse. Now you're seeing the president who said that we should not speak on this, not speak on that. Now he voices his opinion on, let them play. But with nowhere to sing for social injustice. The same lady who told LeBron to shut up and dribble is now saying, hey, we should let these athletes play. We should let them stay on their platforms and speak truth and say why they deserve to play. They're promoting this. This is the same platform where your student athlete who looks like me saw this past week, and I want to say in California, where 2 teenage boys were getting jumped on by a homeless man. A lady called them, the store owner called them to get the police to come help them. They got guns pulled on them. Thank God for people like Stan Van Gundy, everybody who's associated with the NBA, WNBA, who are using their platform to speak out on this social injustice. The same people who was screaming like, we want to play, we want to survive, we want justice. We deserve that justice. I want that same energy. I want you to stop hiding behind your platform that I don't see color. That's not a fair statement. But there's some of your student athletes who y'all get on here on social media to talk about they going through depression and stuff like that. The depression is not about not having a football season. The depression is if I go to sleep tonight, somebody don't kick my door down and mistake my family for somebody else and shoot me, like Breonna Taylor. I can name a bunch of names. Hey, I get shot because I'm just coming out of my engagement from an engagement party. There's so many people who out here trying to do the right thing. They get called vulgar language, words, just because they're out here trying to support the good gospel, being a good person. Don't lose sight of the battle. What about my black life? What about your student black life? Do that still matter to you? Or do it only matter when we're playing football? If that's the case, that's unacceptable, coaches. It's not everybody. They know who I'm talking to. But you can't just keep on deflecting. And just keep, y'all slaughtered Colin Kaepernick for taking the knee. But that's his God-given right. You can speak, you're protesting in a great way. But we frown on anybody doing anything with social injustice because we don't see it. I seen everybody start screaming about COVID-19, how this, that. Some of the things I see that happen to black folks on the internet or anybody, any good Samaritan who's trying to speak out on Black Lives Matter, get called names that they don't deserve to be called. It just makes me sad. Makes me feel bad. But I really want high school coaches to stop. My kids need me. They have parents. Their parents need you to be a support of them, of their home values and stuff like that. That's all I tell them. That's what the tree conversation. I said, ma'am, y'all the foundation. I'm just a leaf on a branch. And I'm going to stay sturdy. I'm not going to leave. Now I got kids from Providence, Hopewell, in the military, that serve with me, that I don't command it. They know they can call me anytime they want. But that's about being a good Samaritan and a good human being. Some of y'all, I want you to change your perspective because we get the clickbait. And that's why I gave my boy Crowell a shout, because he was the only one to say, hey, my bad. Thank you for doing what's right. But we all don't want to say, hey, my bad. Can't admit when you're wrong. But that's my sign of this week. Say their name. Be protective. Protect our black women. Do more. Don't quit being silent. Them kids watching. And that's why some of y'all losing some kids.
There it is. I mean, straight, to the point. And I got to agree with everything you said there, Coach. That was well said. Well said, man. We gave you a few extra minutes because I feel like that message needed to be conveyed, and you did a good job in, conveying everything you said right there. All right. We are going to bring on our next guest. He is the new head coach at Hunter Huss High School. He's taking over for Coach McCoy, who went down to South Carolina, took a job down there. Heard some very good things about him. I'm excited to talk with him, get to know him a little bit tonight. And that is Hunter Huss head coach Randy Thompson. We're going to bring him on with us here right now. All right. How we doing tonight, Coach? Let's hit that microphone, Coach.
You got me.
There we go. Yes, sir.
Hey, man,
how we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. How are y'all?
I'm good. I know this, technology is something else, man. And, doing this stuff virtually, I was telling Coach James, I love to do stuff in person. I'm old school. But, this is what we got to do now. And, we're all about promoting, you guys and your players and programs. So this is the way we got to do it for now. So, we're going to get it on. Yeah. All right. So talk to us about, becoming a head coach at Hunter Huss. What intrigued you about the job, and how did the process go in becoming that head coach over there?
Is actually kind of a funny story, man. Me and Coach James both were up for the Ashbrook job. I don't know if he told you guys that or if you knew that. And so obviously he got the job, and I agreed to be his defensive coordinator. And the Hush job came open, and he called me and was like, "Bro, you got to apply for it." And I was like, "Nah, man, I told you I was gonna help you." And he was like, "Nah, bro, apply for the job." So I talked to some people, and I even called Coach McCoy and got his thoughts, and threw my name in the hat. And God saw fit that it was time for me to get my opportunity.
Good deal, man. Good deal. And we did not know, you guys, were kind of planning to work together until that opportunity showed up. But
oh yeah,
that's awesome,
dude, man. He talk a lot of junk, but that's my guy. I heard him slide that little November 6th. But, he ain't got to worry. We're gonna show up.
Good deal, man. Good deal. So obviously the schedules come out from the NCHSAA. What are your thoughts on a 7-game regular season, and then looks like we got some potential for playoffs on down the line? What are your thoughts on just how it's structured, and how you think you guys can attack that?
I think for us it'll be fine. I mean, we have 6 teams in our conference, so obviously we'll have to pick up a game. I don't know if they're intending on doing an in-county team or keeping one of our non-conference schedules. I think with everything just happening today, it's still early on in the process. I'm sure by Friday or Monday of next week, we'll have a better idea of what the actual schedule is going to look like. But we do know, 6 of those games probably will be conference games. And at the end of the day, I want to get on the field. The guys want to get on the field. We just want to be around some ball. You take the kids out in the parking lot, they'll probably start playing throw a tackle. So we're just waiting for us to get the word go so we can get to it.
You're right. Well said, Coach. Well said. So we mentioned some different things that kids can do right now as far as keeping sharp on the field with camps and
right.
Possibly 7-on-7 leagues, things like that. What's your stance on your players participating in those different kind of off-season activities?
The one thing I've learned in coaching is when you tell them not to do something, that's when they do it. So the one thing I try to communicate is be smart. Be smart, be vigilant in what you're doing. Don't just get out there and do stuff, for shits and giggles. If you're going to get out there and do it, have a purpose in doing it. Going out on the field and just running routes or, just going through drills just to say you did something. With everything you do, have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose while you're out there, then you're just wasting your time and potentially could get hurt doing it.
Well said, Coach. Well said. Absolutely. So talk to us about your philosophy, kind of on the field and off the field. I see you kind of it seems like you're real direct to the point, kind of coach. You want to, get your point across, and that's just the impression I get as far as being, off the field. And on the field, you said you were a defensive coordinator. What would you guys look like on the field, just from your quick assessment of how long you've been there?
I think we're gonna be good. Obviously we're gonna have some holes to fill some big holes. But we have a lot of young talent waiting in the barrels to let loose. The one thing about my philosophy, I may be a little different than most coaches. You know, most coaches are all about football. Where I'm more, I believe if I can build or create a better young man, I'm automatically going to create a better football player. Because the one thing that people fail to forget sometimes is you're going to be a man a lot longer than you're going to play football. So if I can teach you the tools to be a good man, those tools are going to make you a better football player.
That's well said, man. That's well said. And we need more of that. We just heard from, Coach Billups on, his sound off segment we do. He's had a powerful statement about, Black Lives Matter and the different things going on in society. And, to hear something like that, from, a black head coach such as yourself is awesome. It's awesome. It's good to hear. We really need that direction in this world right now. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to bring in Joe Hughes from the Gaston Gazette. He's got a question for you, Coach. And it looks like you guys already know each other, so that's good.
Yeah, I texted him earlier today.
What's going on, man?
Good. Try to keep these guys on speed dial. They got all the good information.
Oh, man.
But, of course, we found out that with the news of the NCHSAA and moving things to February, you're losing one of your prize pieces. Dontavius is heading off to North Carolina. But, of course, with that offers opportunity for some guys. Ray Mackey is probably one of those. What have you kind of seen from Ray, and how much does he impress you?
Very impressed with Ray. The one thing that I really appreciate about Ray is that competitive nature you see on the field. You can tell he has it off of the field. You can tell Ray wants to excel in everything he does. And with the way I go about doing things and trying to prepare guys to be better men, I know for a fact whatever Ray does on the field or off, he's going to succeed.
Yeah, we had Ray on our preseason all-conference team. I was impressed with him last season. He had a huge game against Kings Mountain. We were there, and he made a huge impression on us. And, just going – yeah. Right. Just going back and looking at his film, man, he looks like he's going to be, a really, really special player for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to bring in Cherie Glenn. She's got a question for you as well, Coach.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Are you fine?
So, as we've been talking about, Coach Billups speaking on Black Lives Matter, and I've just noticed, over the last few seasons, a lot more African-American men are becoming head coaches at a lot of our schools. So what do you think that says about the change in culture, especially in a state like North Carolina?
I think they're starting to understand that we are qualified, that we can be more than just a token or a sideline piece or a coach that is on the staff to keep the black kids in line. And, just this year alone, you have Coach James and myself who were hired. But there are a lot more other young African-American coaches out there that are qualified. Mecklenburg County is full of them. And I think they're starting to see if you give us a chance, if you give us an opportunity, not only will the kids succeed on the field, they'll succeed off the field. I mean, Coach McCoy, whose place I took, you know, the amount of kids he's put in school. Coach Washington over at Mountain Island Charter, the amount of kids that he's put in the school. So not only are these kids excelling on the field, but they're excelling in the classroom. You know, when you're sending kids to Yale and when you're sending kids to Stanford, yeah, they may be going for their athletic abilities, but you don't go to Yale and Stanford if you can't do the work. You know, so I think that has a lot to do with why a lot of the African American males in this area are starting to get opportunities. You know, coaches like McCoy, Washington. I think his name is Coach Harris. Took over the AD job at West Charlotte. When you look at their resume and the things that they have done over the course of their time as head coaches, it makes it easy for guys like myself and Coach James to come in that door, because not only is that door already open, but it's a big door.
Well said, Coach. Well said. And you're absolutely right. There are a lot of deserving Black men that can be head coaches for these programs. And I'm glad we're starting to see the progression. Joe Hughes said, you know, there's 4 African-American head coaches now in Gaston County. And I know that used to be a big deal where, you know, McCoy and Washington were pretty much the only ones that carried the torch for a long time. So it's awesome to see that progression. It really is.
Right.
So we talked about a couple of your kids on the team. We've also got Malik Corey. We got Nick Sharp. Of course, we had Aries Nash, but he's, of course, moving on. And then we had Ray Mackey, you know, at the DB position. Talk about, you know, some of those kids and some other kids that you think are going to, you know, stand up and be big time players for you this season.
You know, one of the kids, he's actually a transfer from Charlotte, from Independence. Reggie Spivey. You know, from the moment I met him, he's been nothing but a worker, man. You know, obviously, being hired during this pandemic, it was difficult to actually meet the guys. But he Nick Sharp, Nash, Malik, them guys, they welcome me with open arms. Couple other guys, Darius Williams, I believe he played outside linebacker DN for him last year. He's another guy that we're going to lean on heavy. Kid by name of Elijah Mason. Keith McClure, who played right tackle. I mean, the list goes on. Amarian Nichols. And those are all guys, older guys. You know, when you start talking about our younger guys, you know, you got guys like Quaylon Thompson, who will be a sophomore. Michael Williams, who started at DN last year, and will play some tight end for us. You know, we gotta I could go on and on. You know, Jamad Benton, Tay Murray, you know, and those are guys, you know, that didn't get a lot of recognition per se, but if you were at the game, you saw how they put up numbers quietly. You know, so just really looking forward to coaching them guys.
Good deal. We're anxious to, you know, get to know some of these guys that, you know, aren't the big names, you know, necessarily that are going to put on for you in February. We got one last question, Coach. Back to Joe Hughes here.
Yeah, Coach. Wanted to ask you about another one of your transfers, Corey Adams from Clover. He got some action last year, but how much has he kind of fit in with everything going on at Huss?
Corey has come in and instantly become an instant leader. Obviously, we can't do anything with the guys, but from everything that I've been told, Corey's getting the guys together. He himself, Nash, Malik, Tay, and they're getting those younger guys and they're working. Corey, I think Corey and my offensive coordinator, they probably talk every other day, just about, concepts and things that will work and things we can do and how to utilize the talent that we have. So, looking forward to Corey getting out there and doing what he does, because he's definitely a ball player. And he's a smart kid. I think Corey has like a 3.8 GPA, and that's, again, that's the thing that going to Huss, I was really impressed with how, Coach McCoy made academics a focus, and the more important academics became, the more success they saw on the field.
Good stuff, Coach. Good stuff, man. Once again, man, I appreciate you coming on with us. It was great to get to know you. I'm excited to get to know you in person. If I was coaching with you, if I was still coaching, I'd ask to be offense coordinator. That's how fired up I am by the kind of person you are, the way you carry yourself, your personality, and the way you want to lead these kids, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. So
I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, and hopefully, once we get started in February, we'll come out there and we'll get together in person and get to know each other even more. So,
he was always open, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so that was Hunter Huss head coach Randy Thompson. You see the kind of personality he has. I think he's a great fit for what's going on at Hunter Huss. Obviously, he's losing Dontavius Nash. Is moving on to North Carolina. We've also heard that Nick Sharp is also moving on. So those are some big losses for that program. But Coach is confident that he's got some guys coming up behind those guys that are ready to fill those big shoes. All right, so now we're going to turn our attention to the Big South 3A preseason all-conference team, and we're going to give our conference predictions, which, might change a little bit now that we've got this news going on. So we're going to bring in, our guest host, Joe Hughes, who has a lot of knowledge on these guys. We're going to bring in Kenneth McClamrock, if you guys hadn't seen Ken McClamrock's analysis and in-depth breakdowns of players, you may be a little shocked. I think he's got a future at breaking down NFL players. It's pretty daggone awesome. We'll bring in Coach Billups as well for his commentary on some of these guys. We'll see if everyone did their homework or not. All right. So at the quarterback position, we got Ethan Reid, Kings Mountain. Joe, I'll let you talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, very, very big quarterback, wide ranging, has a cannon of an arm, and he embraces contact. I guess that's the main thing that I like about him. He allows Coach Lloyd to basically be able to call anything that he wants in that offense. It also helps having Kobe Paysauer in at wide receiver that kind of opens things up for him. But I really like Ethan Reid, and I think he can really repeat as conference offensive player of the year.
Yeah, man. One time I saw him, I was at the game we were at, Joe, the Hunter Huss Kings Mountain game. I think Huss, had a stellar defensive performance, but looking at him on film, evaluating him for this, I mean, it was a no-brainer. I mean, there's some other good players at the quarterback position in this league, but he's head and shoulders. I like the kid at Ashbrook. He's more of a dual threat kid. I believe his first name was Chandler.
Chandler Meeks.
Yeah. Coach James was talking about him. He runs hard, man. I mean, there were some plays that, it looked like he had 5 or 6 guys around him, and he just was able to run through some guys, and he's not even that big, So I was kind of surprised at that.
That gas house mentality, man. They play down. Hey, they tough down there.
Yeah, it helps that he has some strong legs because a lot of guys try to hit him low when they bounce right off of him. They try to get him high. He's strong enough to repel them. So that's going to really help Coach James and Ashbrook and whenever they're able to get on the field and get to work.
You better stay in that wing.
Absolutely. Man, all right. So at the running back position, there were a couple different ways we could have went here, but there were a lot of kind of dual threat athletes that excel in different positions. So I went with Brooks at Kings Mountain and then Dawkins at Forest View. Joe, what's your thoughts on those two guys?
Yeah, as you said, this conference is loaded at the running back position. It's hard to pick from Dawkins and Corey and Brooks. They're all legit, and of course, Rashard Brooks and what he does for that Kings Mountain offense. As you said, you can't lose. You can't lose with that. He's put on some muscle and some weight over the offseason, and he's kept that twitch that he has. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does.
Yeah, and then Dawkins, he's a 5'11", 220 Forest View. Looks like he can pretty much run inside, outside. He's got that mentality. Just looking at his Twitter, he feels like he's a little bit slept on and underrated. Playing at Forest View. We've had a lot of comments about Forest View tonight. Which is kind of
we understand why you feel like he slept on.
But we're gonna leave that alone. We'll find out what's going on at Forest View later on.
I want to talk to a Forest View coach ASAP because my man named Bill Davis. He been on that neck. Bill Smith. He been on that neck. Bill Smith. He been on that neck.
But Dawkins is a really, really dynamic player at the running back position, man. Does a really strong job in that offense. So then at receiver, we've seen Pace Sauer. Obviously, he's going on, to the next level at college. But I mean, just a crazy, dynamic, talented young man there. Joe, what are the things you like most about him?
About Pace Sauer, he's so steady and consistent. He doesn't even have to really be targeted to affect the offense. And as you probably saw, he last year wasn't his best year statistically. But what he did was open up the offense for a guy like Rashard Brooks to emerge. A guy like, I forget the first name of the kid, but Davidson, the speedster, he emerged last year and turned into an East-West guy. So the things that he did, he was just special. He's just a special kid, and he's a grinder. He's a grinder. He came from nothing, and he's turned it all into something. And you can't help but love that.
Absolutely. In that game we saw, between them and Hunter Huss, I was surprised that he didn't get the ball more because, Huss was pretty much challenging him one-on-one. And, sometimes you get a little shell-shocked when you get in a situation like that. But yeah, he's a special talent.
That kid is
legit.
Yeah.
Flat out. That's a dog.
Yeah.
That is a flat out dog.
That ball going in the air, he high pointing and he's coming down with it. That Catholic game.
Special.
Yeah.
You can't coach that.
No.
Yeah.
No, you cannot. And then the other two kids, this was, for me, this was film study because there wasn't a lot of receivers here. This more of definitely a run conference, which is a little different than what we see in Charlotte. So, but these two kids, that stood out on film: Lamar Golightly at Forest View and Brian Coley at North Gaston. Joe, what do you know about these two kids?
Lamar Golightly is a reliable pass catcher. Of course, the main problem at Forest View was their quarterback's accuracy last year. The question is whether that will be as much of an issue this year, or whether that'll matter because of how run heavy they are. They got two good backs. You have one of them being Dawkins, so you're going to, of course, rely on him. But Golightly had 27 catches for 393 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. Not bad for what they do. So I wonder whether they're going to increase his workload this year, give him more targets. Who knows? But I'm eager to see what happens with that.
Yeah, then we had Coley at North Gaston, and I talked to Coach Justin Clark about him. And, he felt like, he's going to be a guy because they're switching their offense, too. They're going to more of that, spread air raid type offense, switching from that Red Bone, South Point type stuff. You can tell I'm not a run guy. I'm not a run guy.
That's why Harden took some L's.
You know what, Billups? You getting the around the horn mute. Yeah, there you go. All right. So anyway, I like, Coley. Coley, when they played that offense, they get a lot of one-on-one matchups. He was able to go in high point in football. They ran some screens for him. He was able to make some plays. So interested to see, the change in offense. They're able to showcase him and some other guys, a little bit over at North Gaston. All right, so I'm going to take Billups off mute now. All right, so the athlete position in this conference is very strong. So, Joe, I'll ask you about Timothy Ruff II because I see in the comments there are a lot of people that want to hear about this young man. So, what you got on him?
Can we say he's one of the few people that can say in the past few years that he single-handedly beat us? I think I can't remember whether it was 4 or 5 touchdowns by himself last year. And this was a week after after the Huss defense shut down Kings Mountain. He breaks out for that. Then he continues that stretch and basically does the same thing to Kings Mountain a few weeks later. So he's not big, he's not tall, but he can scoot. You can't tackle him. You can't get him. You can't even breathe on him. He's just that fast. And I think he committed to Howard a few weeks ago. He's just a straight up weapon. He's a weapon. That's the best way to call him. He lines up at running back, wide receiver, quarterback. He does it all. He's just a weapon.
5 touchdowns against Huss?
He sound like the typical Crest player. Crest always got one. They always got one. And they've been known for that. Look it up. They always got one. But where he come from? They dogs. I'm not talking like Gaston County got dogs. This is a bunch of dogs. You got to come ready to play. I wouldn't want to play none of these teams because they got a dog mentality. That's just how they are. It's just like playing Central Bears last year. It's not good for a city team to come play Central Bears. But my JV got the dub. That's all that matters.
So, all right. So now y'all seen the real Coach Bill. You had all that zen earlier. Now all that zen gone. So now y'all get a little cut.
Nah, but Chris,
right,
I'm not surprised. That kid game against Hush, it was I saw it was really he shook me. He made me a believer.
Hey,
absolutely.
It seemed like every time it seemed like Huss was trying to come back, he would always break off a big run, and the last one was just a throw. He throws the football on a fourth and 2. They ran the ball all game, and on a 4th and 2, and the most important play of the game, they throw it and connect.
Wow.
He a dog. Hey.
That's wild. So Joe, tell us about Malik Corey. I think this is a kid that is a little bit under the radar, in my opinion.
Without a doubt, he's already a 3-year contributor for Huss. He's actually the leading ground gainer coming back with over 2,000 yards career. Played a few positions last year because he was primarily a running back his first 2 years. He got moved to kind of a wide receiver position last year along with defensive back. And he actually made us better by being unselfish. And that's something that Coach Thompson's going to rely a lot on, especially now after losing a guy like Nash, a guy like Sharp. He's a leader. He's a natural-born leader as well, and I think that he's going to bring some bare necessities that a lot of people probably wouldn't even think about at Huss.
Very good, very good. I interviewed that kid last year. He's well-spoken, and definitely going to be a leader now, especially with the losses that Huss has had here, with the situation. On Carmelo Best, I got a message from another player, and this I haven't had this on any of the teams so far. He sent me a message. He said he didn't play varsity last year, but
he did.
You guys got him right, and that was something that I've never experienced. Joe, what can you say about Carmelo?
That's correct. He played JV last year, but every time you pop on tape or you talk to people around Ashbrook, hey, this kid's the real deal. Then you see the work that he puts in, and he puts all that stuff on Twitter and all his workout videos. He's really like that. He's perfecting his craft, and he's continuing to get better with everything that he's done.
Absolutely, and we interviewed him a few weeks back on Instagram. Very, very well spoken, confident. He works like Coach James said. He's a tireless worker. So I'm excited to see how his career progresses going forward. Mm-hmm. All right, so we all gonna take a break because now it's Kenny McClamrock time. He takes over on the big boys. So Kenny McClamrock, y'all in for a treat right here. Here we go.
I tell you, I usually try to start off these things with talking about how good I've done against certain teams in that particular conference. But I'll be honest, my career record as an assistant coach or a head coach versus the Big South is awful. I'm 0-1 as a player versus Kings Mountain in 1998. They knocked us out of the playoffs and the semifinals. We were up 7-6 at halftime. They ended up winning 20-7. Versus Crest, I'm 0-1 as a head coach. They knocked us out of the playoffs my last year at East Row Inn. And then career record as an assistant and a head coach versus Hunter Hust is 1-4. 1-3 as an assistant coach and 0-1 as a head coach, even though we were up at halftime 7-6 last year in that game. But there are some big offensive linemen in this league, man. I mean, there's a reason why this league is one of the top 3A conferences in the state of North Carolina. We'll start off with one of them. He's the 2021 kid tackle, Jacob Todd out of Forest View. Pep, I mean, good night. I talked last week about how small my teams have been over the years. This joker is 6'6", 240 pounds. Good night. He obviously has great size. He's got long arms. When I watch him on film, I want him to be a little bit more aggressive. I don't think he's quite as aggressive as he should be. I don't think he dominates as much as he should be. He's got a senior year now. He's got 7 games to put together a great film and great tape and to get his name out there. I think he definitely has the size for schools to really take a look at him and for him to have an opportunity to be a scholarship player at the next level. A kid at Kings Mountain, left tackle. He also played some guard for him, is Blake Davis. Another ginormous kid, 6'3", 290 pounds. And I'll tell you what really impressed me about Blake was that he does an extremely good job blocking in space, especially with all the quick screens that Kings Mountain apparently throws. they lined him up, I think, at tight end a couple times on those quick screens just so he can get out there and block the DBs. He's got good feet. He's got a strong lockout at the point of attack. Once again, I'd kind of like to see him be a little bit more nasty when he finishes blocks. But I really loved watching his film. The third kid that we have is another 2021 kid, Dylan Kale out of Crest. And you talk about, Coach Phillips just mentioned, the Crest always has some stud athletes. They always have big players. This joker is 6'5", 320 pounds. He's got offers from Notre Dame College. We talked about them last week. One of the top Division II programs in the country. Charleston Southern, LR, another one of the top programs in the country. Catawba and Gardner-Webb have offered him. I think that he moves extremely well. There was evidence of that in his highlight film. He actually makes an open field tackle off of an interception, not one of those where the kid who intercepted it sees him and goes, oh, shoot, and then he slips, But this dude tackled the dude in the open field. Doesn't always bend as much as I'd like to see. That might have been just some of the plays that he had on there, but he's obviously a very big body. He wins his one-on-ones. He strains whenever he blocks. He also plays guard, and I think at the next level, I would imagine that some of those schools might be looking at him on the interior part of the line, especially a Lenore Ryan type school that does what they do offensively. The next kid that we have is the first lineman from Stuart Kramer, Nathan Lincus, I believe is how you say his name. Pep, he is 6'5", 295 pounds. And when I first looked at his film, I believe it was yesterday, he had committed to Charlotte. And then I looked on his Twitter today, and I think he decommitted from Charlotte today. So not really sure what happened there. I like what Charlotte is doing. I love what Coach Hilly is doing, but maybe something else popped up. Maybe something else happened. But he obviously is a big body. He's got a really good pass pro, which from what I know of Kramer, they're not a team that throws the football a lot, but I loved watching what he was doing. And pass pro, same kind of deal with some of the other guys. I would like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, be a little bit more nasty in his run blocks. I'd like to see him strain a little bit more. I'd like to see him finish his block a little bit better, a little bit more often. But I think that at the next level, he's got the body, he's got the potential to be a really solid offensive guard. Is probably where I see him. I do like his hand fighting skills, which is going to be big for him, and maybe these next 7 games in February is what he's looking for. But then the crown jewel of this league, and it sounds like he's already decided that he's going to take his talents up to Winston-Salem, is the Nick Sharp kid out of Hunter Huss. I got to see him in person last year. He's 6'2", he's 300 plus pounds. He's a Wake Forest commit. He's a 3-star guy. And this is what's so impressive about the Sharp kid. And I know he won't be back, I guess. But he played left tackle, he played left guard, he played right tackle, he played right guard, he played defensive end, he played defensive tackle, he played nose guard. I mean, he played all over the field. He played everywhere, and to be able to do that at his size really speaks to his heart. It speaks to how much he loved his teammates, how much he loves the game of football. It speaks to why he's going to be a successful athlete in the ACC. I reached out to a Wake Forest coach today to ask him about the kid, and obviously they're super high on him. His opening highlight, in fact, was against us versus a pretty good player that had over a dozen scholarship offers, and Nick took him for a ride, man, real tall. He runs his feet when he blocks. He's got great punching power. He's got heavy hands that you want to see as an offensive lineman. He bends well, and I think that at Wake Forest, with his size, I believe they probably move him to center, especially with his athleticism. But he's a stud player, man. I mean, he's a big-time dude, and obviously Wake Forest only recruits the best of the best student athletes. So that speaks a lot to what type of young person and what type of character this young man has, the fact that he's going to Wake Forest.
Professional football analysis. Only on Football
The best
Focus
show
Weekly.
there is, buddy.
Thank you. Kenny McClamrock, you got D-line. Keep it going.
So we got a couple big defensive linemen. Once again, last week in Charlotte, we saw some not super big guys in the IMAC, but we got some big guys back on the film again. The first one is a 2022 kid. I believe he's the only. I think there's one other 2022 kid, but the first one we've mentioned so far, Eli Hall out of Crest. He's 6'4". He's 250 pounds. He's got offers from just a litany of guys: Wake Forest, Virginia Tech, South Carolina, Auburn, Akron, ECU, Liberty. I saw my favorite Liberty defensive lineman at all time today, Gerald Holt. He worked with us last year at Central. He's moved on to J.M. Robinson with Coach D-Rob. Excited to see him today. But, I'll tell you, Eli's film started out with a pick 6 from the defensive end position. I mean, to tell you how athletic he is, Crest also lines him up at running back. It seems like Crest always puts some big old defensive lineman at running back, especially in the red zone down the goal line. But he's got a strong bull rush. He's got a good motor. And obviously with 2 more years left to play, colleges see a lot of potential with this kid. Really, really like what he had on film. The next kid is the other 2022 kid. He's another defensive end from Kramer. His name is Aries, I believe is how you pronounce it. Nash. He's 6'2". He's 240 pounds. He's got good size. On film, what I see is he needs to get a little bit stronger. Coach just mentioned that he's a recent transfer in there. Reggie Spivey Jr. He transferred from Independence. He's 6'1". It looks like 290, 295. He's a big body kid. Big body. He's got a good push. I'm sure that one of the first things that Coach James does with him when he finally worked with him is really start to put this dude through individual drills where he can really develop as a pass rusher, develop getting off of blocks. He doesn't show a whole lot of moves on film, but you can tell he's got the motor, he's got the personality to want to be a really good player. I think he's got a lot of potential. He does do a good job already coming off of blocks, especially in that 4A league in the IMAC. And I think that if he can develop a couple of moves, he can really be a player to look out for in that league. And then the final player who I thought was the best player of them all, the best defensive lineman that I saw, just an incredible athlete, Javari Rice out of Kings Mountain. He's the smallest of all of them. He's 6 feet. He's 235 pounds maybe, but he's already got offers by Akron. Man, Akron, they are killing this area in the recruiting. App State is offering him. Campbell's offering him. Coastal's offering him. I think there was 1 or 2 other schools that have offered him as well. He's listed right now as a 2-star. And let me tell you, the only reason why this Joker is a 2-star is because he's 6 feet tall. Because if he was 6'3", this Joker would be a 4-star guy. He is an incredible player. Joe Hughes is typing. He is a game record. There is no doubt. This dude is a man in a league with a bunch of men. He is the man of them all. He stands above all of them. He's got an incredible first step. He's got a great burst. His highlights say that he was the conference defensive lineman of the year. We didn't do that kind of stuff in my league, so I'm assuming that's true. That's what he says. Maybe that's what he was just saying about himself. I don't know. But he is. He is. He definitely is. And this year coming up, he flies all over the place. He has vicious hits. I mean, he attacks the quarterback. He attacks the ball carrier. He gets off of blocks. He's extremely fast, extremely athletic. He's the kind of guy that I like to call he's very slippery. He just kind of wiggles his way through blocks. There was a time where a team ran a GT counter at him to the left, and he kind of slipped through the first guard, and the tackle missed him. He ended up making the tackle for a 2-yard loss. I mean, just incredible player. I could see him playing all over the field for Kings Mountain. His highlight starts off, I don't know if it starts off in the middle of the play. I'm guessing it's an offensive play. I'm guessing he's playing a tight end or wide receiver position, but he comes back and he gets his 15-yard penalty, buddy. He demolishes a kid right on the sideline. I mean, just lights him up, old school. The whole stadium, I'm sure, just started screaming and going nuts. His boys going nuts. It was one of those where you're watching in film the next day or on Monday and you tell Coach, rewind that. And as it's coming, you're already hitting your boys because you know what's coming. I mean, he is just a beast of a player. I think that he's the crown jewel on the defensive line. And, I hate that we won't be able to see a Nick Sharp versus Javari Rice this year, but excited to see this young man play. He's another 21 kid.
Professional football analysis.
Gotcha.
That is Kenny McClammer.
he was the defensive player of the year. So not just the defensive lineman. That's a no-brainer to me. I mean, I believe it. I think that he'd be the defensive player of the year in a bunch of leagues. There may not be a 3A league in the state that he might not be the defensive player of the year in. I mean, he's a specimen. He's special.
Joe, what's your thoughts on the linemen there?
They're pretty much right in line with what Coach was talking about. Javari's the real deal, and Eli basically. I talked to him earlier this summer, and he basically said, "I like what Crest has been at the defensive line position. Justin Foster, if your last name Spikes, whatever. But I'm just trying to be the first Eli Hall.
Wow,
that's it. I don't want to ride anyone's coattails. I want to make my own way, and he's doing that.
Awesome stuff. What a impressive group. I tell you, when I looked at Aries Nash, I posted on Twitter that I had found a sleeper in the researching the Big South 3A. I know you guys in Gaston County know him, but if this kid was in Charlotte, I think he's got immense potential. I mean, immense. I saw it was 120 tackles from the DN spot. I mean, what is that's crazy. That's crazy.
And that comes with teams running away from him. He's making hustle plays.
Wow. Yeah, and on Twitter he had 5 followers, and I looked him up. Usually, a kid like this that's the first team all conference with that size, being a sophomore, rising junior, I should say. Usually he's like all over the place on some type of watch list and getting this and at camps and all the, but it wasn't none of that. So I reached out to him, and I'll share this. I said, look, I want to interview you. You need to get your name.
I couldn't find him, man. I looked for him. I couldn't find him.
Yeah. I had to dig a little bit, but I'm glad I did, because I'm telling you, that kid, I'm excited to watch him grow. Like you said, Coach, I'm really excited to see what he can be. So at the linebacker position, we got Jacob Neely, Forest View, Day Wilson at Kings Mountain, Colby Pruitt at North Gaston, and Eli Wesson. I put him at special, but he's more of a linebacker. I saw he played a little bit of DN, but I'm going to tell you, he's a man at that linebacker spot. Joe, what's your thoughts on those 4 guys?
I think Day-Day's exactly what we've come to know of him as. Aggressive, sure tackler, can fill the hole with a quickness. He's just the prototype that you want as your middle linebacker. The one that's probably going to surprise a lot of people, Jacob Neely. He emerged last year, but after putting on some pounds and really getting that first year of varsity experience out of the way, I really think that he's going to emerge this coming season and really push his way for some scholarship offers.
Good deal. Yeah, Neely's playing more of an outside backer position.
Yeah.
He showed a good ability to move in space, which is really what you got to have when you're playing that position. You're not afraid to contact the course, coming up and tackling well in space. Colby Pruitt at North Gaston, I talked to him in the preseason visiting North Gaston. Well-spoken young man, definitely a leader, wants to really try to turn that program around in his senior year. We got a Jacob Neely fan on right there. Thank you, Stephanie, for watching and supporting Football Focus Weekly, the #1 prep talk show in the state of North Carolina.
Yes, there is.
Anyway, let me stop. And we got Eli Wesson at Crest. Man, I tell you, what a player. Playing that Mike linebacker. You talk about watching highlight films. Good gracious. His first play, they sent him on a Mike blitz, and my Lord, I was surprised the guy got up. I mean, it was just – and he's just a nasty football player that is coming downhill to knock your head off is what I'll say. Lack of a better term. So I'm really impressed with the linebackers in this league. So the DB special teams position, of course, we got Darius Nash, great young man. He's going to do great things in North Carolina. Leader, very intelligent, well-spoken. When I interviewed him 2 years ago, he had a special message for kids that weren't getting offers and recruiting, and he put that in the front of his interview, then went into his interview. So, I mean, that said a lot to me about the kind of kid he is. Jadon Soul, we interviewed him not too long ago. A smaller kid, really, really good in man coverage. I think he, Coach Billups, you would love. Did you get to see him at all?
I didn't go to Ashbrook, but the one thing I respect about that kid, he got on Twitter and was asking about, for tips and stuff like that. And he responded to everything that every coach said. Of course, James need to call me, I'm the DB whisperer, don't tell everybody that, but I'm retired a little bit. I'm coaching linebackers again with box safeties over here at West Charlotte. With McCann, he's like, oh, Lord. Yeah, they don't want me in the second.
Must have watched that
Stencil film. I was doing, But, hey, you remember, you on that? Don't want to go there. We can have a whole long conversation about that one. Two sophomores. But I love McClellan Rock. But, no, I like the Sawyer kid. I would say this, because you skip over, you asked my opinion about the Nash kid. You putting Nash with Dre Bly, that is dangerous. That kid already is a dog, but you're putting him with Dre Bly. That kid he is nasty. Even him, that game against Vance, he played both ways that game, and he's a dog. They got some dogs over there at Hunter Husband. They're gonna miss that dog. That's an alpha dog. And he was there on 418. Y'all have a lot more respect for that kid than what people have. That kid is a dog, and he's a freak. He'll be on the same echelon. And I know people don't get mad. I said it because everybody get mad when you mention his name. But him and Power will be on that same playing field because that kid is a ball player. He's a ball player.
I know now.
He's a ball player.
With you.
Nash just likes to compete.
Ball player.
He just likes to compete. The thing is, he was on that Huss basketball team that made it to the West Final this past year, and he basically asked everyone to match his intensity level. They do it in a different way. Exactly.
He's a dog.
There's no other way to put it.
He that dog. He that junkyard dog. You see him with that get the chain. Oh Lord, that's it. He is a dog, and I don't have to be around the kid. You could watch his film, watch him out there commanding that defense. I'm telling you, we pray. Powell is one of the best defensive players to play in the state of North Carolina, but that boy's not. He's not too far. That boy's good.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, Ray Mackey, like Coach Thompson was saying, this kid, man, he's gonna come in and fill in well. I mean, you're not gonna fill in totally from Nash leaving, but I'll tell you, this is a safety that he can cover in the slot. He will knock your socks off. There was a play they tried to run a little tight end dump against Kings Mountain tried to run a little tight end dump against Huss last year. And this was the play that put him on the map for me because we had a great highlight on it. Man, he came across and it was nasty. This is the first highlight on his film. He actually asked me after the game. He asked me after the game. He said, "Man, did you get that?" I said, "Man, I got it."
That's that. Hey, that's that hello, good night. That's that hello, good night.
And then
Chance, I got the picture right here.
Joe.
I literally just found the picture.
Yeah, that
was a heck of a play. And then Chance Cannon at Kings Mountain. Joe, what can you say about that kid?
That kid's going to be one of the. He's rated next for me. He got better as the season of the Catholic game. He really emerged. because coming off that corner, they were running the corner blitzes and basically disguising coverages with him, and they didn't really give him that responsibility early in the season. But as the season went along, they started giving it to him, and he rose to the occasion.
Yeah. You see him going to safety too. Like I think he played either corner or free safety. He got that. He got a lot of tools in the toolbox, and like he said, you know, watching film, that Catholic Kings Mountain is still dangerous, man. Even though they lost the receiver, Kings Mountain dangerous, and I don't know. Big South is up in there. Like Kings Mountain and Hush are dangerous. They're two dangerous teams.
Don't forget about Crest.
Yeah, and, oh my goodness. You can never count them out. You can never, even when I was playing in school, we hated playing Crest. You go down to Crest, our Coach Gilchrist used to come chew on them during sunflower season, say, hey, you better strap that chin strap up they Billups. We don't have to go boom. I'm like, oh yeah.
So the kicker and the punter here, I'll tell you, super talented kids. Blake Roderick at Crest, just an incredible kicker, and then Mamano at Stuart Kramer is he can kick and punt. There's some really this conference I think might have the best kickers that we've seen.
Kickers as a whole. I was about to say
yes, as a whole.
Oh, I was about to say Eddie Spitzley. Eddie Spitzley.
I know.
Shout out to my boy Eddie. Can't know that's why he great. Look at it. Brought back memories. Boom! Knocking water off the ball. Boom! It's a darn shame with the best player in your team, the punter.
All right, that's Coach Brandon Billups for you Providence fans that might be just checking out the Big South 3A. So, all right, anyway. So as far as predictions go, I'll just throw mine out there. I got Kings Mountain winning the conference. I know they finished third last year, but even though they may lose a couple kids to the early movement to college, I still think they're number one in the league. I like Crest at number 2. 3, I got Huss. I feel okay about that. I know they're going to lose a couple of key guys. I feel okay about it. Forest View, I think, could push them for that 3rd spot.
I hope so.
I like Ashbrook after those guys, then Kramer and then North Gaston. But I think North Gaston is going to be a lot more competitive. I think Coach Clark's going to come in there and, get the juice going in that program and, change some things around. And there's a good spirit going on over there in Dallas, where I live, by the way, 5 minutes from that school. So I hope they are, good, because that'll be easy to get to once they start playing.
The food's good,
yeah, exactly. Joe, what's your thoughts, man? Do you have a prediction for the conference?
I'm not predicting anything.
Too early. You don't know. You don't know who's leaving. You don't know who's leaving, who's going.
I know.
And you better not count Crest out because hey, they listen, they watching. They always, boy, somebody from Crest always watching.
Exactly. I'll end up with somebody in my email.
He don't need to do that. You don't got to say nothing, Mr. Hughes. Don't say nothing. He trying to have your email flooded.
All right. I'm the only one with predictions, so y'all can email me. Well, y'all can look at it.
Best of luck to everybody in that conference.
What?
That's all we're gonna say. It's a dog fight.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree.
18 years as a coach, Crest might be the coolest place that I ever coached at. I mean, there's something special about that place. The monuments and the state championships they have in the end zone. When I saw that, I thought to myself, if I ever got to that point, I'm doing that, man. Let's put some stinking statues in the end zone, and they go through it and they touched it and all that mess. That was a really cool place to play. And I played at Richmond County and played at the Dub City and played at Independence, their heyday, and all these other. I said it, Lion Strong. But I thought Crest is a neat place to play. I mean, it's such good football in the county to begin with, and those boys know they're good, and there's such a rich tradition there. Kings Mountain obviously is no different. They had a heck of a season. What was it, 5 overtimes last year? Am I remember that right?
Yes.
I think I was watching Pep's Twitter feed actually down in my basement, laying on the couch. The Office was on television, and I'm watching 1 overtime, 5 overtimes. I think you're right, Pep. I think Kings Mountain has got to be up top. I think Crest is probably number 2, and especially with what we know now from Hunter Huss losing a couple of their top players, that's really going to hurt them. Really hurt them. Replacing the Sharp kid who played really 8 different positions, and the Nash kid who played 5 or 6 different positions. I mean, he was a DB by paper, but he was really a linebacker type player who would light your butt up. That's going to be tough to replace those 2 guys, especially when you're counting on them. We talked last week about young guys being forced to step up because of guys enrolling early. Huss better have some guys waiting in the wings because they're going to need some dudes to step up.
Yeah, I think you don't see it now. I don't think like that in that independent transfer they got. That's a big joker, and I think the safety, his running mate, Nash running mate, he's ready to take control. It might have been a gift and a curse. Don't go ahead and tell you that.
No, they were so big and they were so athletic last year. They just had that big transfer running back the week that we played them.
That was bad for you, man. I remember that.
And the big quarterback they had, man. I mean, we're out there in pregame, and my quarterback's coach looks at me and he goes, "God, dog, coach, is that kid the running back? Look how big he is." And the next thing I know, he picks up a football and starts throwing it. And I'm like, the quarterback. Big old joker with locks and just big old chest, carrying his shoulder pads, come walking. I said, that's the running back. Good night. But that's a lot to replace, man. With a new coach coming in, that's a lot. Even with all the athletes they have, a shortened season, they have 6 teams in their league, so they're going to get it to play, 1-2 non-conference games. It'll be interesting to see who they're able to pick up because there'll be a lot of schools that won't be able to play out of conference games.
Well, the good thing about that schedule is most of them teams run the ball anyway. So that's why I was saying that's what James actually texted me, telling me to stop talking about the wing T. But that's what you want, like Crest and Kings Mountain. North Gaston. This conference is really going to be exciting, but I think it's a 2-man race for that number 1. With Crest and King Mountain, it's just who don't hit it going, and bring your popcorn. I would say that.
TJ Ruff.
So
TJ Ruff is the X factor. He's with everything kind of going on right now. He is the X factor in this conference.
Yep.
I agree exactly. All right, so that's our Big South preseason all conference team and prediction session. We are going to jump back into talking NCHSAA calendar, addressing questions. I'm going to give the group a chance to talk a little more about that. We addressed some things earlier. We're going to go back and hit on a few more things there. One of the questions that came in, and we just kind of touched on it. Does this, calendar with 7 games only, does that mean teams are only going to play conference games? In my opinion, right now, we don't know because we still have that second ball to drop with LEAs deciding if their schools are going to be able to participate with remote learning going on. So, guys, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I personally think, man, I mean, as far as for the first question about if it's going to be a conference-only schedule, right now I would lean to probably say yes. Maybe you could get 1 non-conference game in there, but I know coaches are going to want to because we're starting in February. Coaches are going to want to get a scrimmage in, or they're going to want to have something that's going to help them to get prepared for the season. I know I would. If I was a head guy somewhere, I would want to get a scrimmage in so that I could be able to get prepared. Just to go right out there week 1 and expect to look in tip-top shape. And I think a lot of this will start to make a little more sense once they roll out what the playoff system is going to look like. We'll be able to understand this conference versus possible non-conference versus possibly having a chance to be able to do some scrimmaging. So I'm pretty sure that coaches are kind of like, you know, they twiddling their thumbs a little bit. It's a lot of excitement that's in the place now. But I think you guys are head on, man. You and Billups, man, you guys talk a lot about these LEAs, man, and the responsibility they're going to have. But even on top of that, man, right now, the hardest working person in the building right now is going to be an athletic director. They're going to be working harder even than the principal, because the principal's got to worry about specific things. That AD has got to get ready to get all of this stuff scheduled while trying to get all of these things put in place while still not having a clear picture of what the district is going to say you are allowed to do. That's tough, man. That's tough, and I don't wish that on nobody. But I know Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools, Gadsden County, the state of North Carolina's got a good grade of ADs around, man. So I think they'll make some good decisions.
Just to go off of that, he's right. He's right. You know, I talked to my athletic director, you know, the great Josh Harris over here at Dub. I think coaches, the whole coaching athletic department, we don't have to work together because there's going to be a lot of pressure on these athletic directors. And when we're not in season, even we may have like football, we may be having another sport go on. We might have to step up. And, you know, like I did at Providence last year, I ran the score board for the basketball team. I helped out with track. You know, I did long jump. I didn't know how to measure, but I figured it out. You know, Coach, shout out to my boy Coach Lash. He gave me a quick tutorial. But it's all about being an athletic department, not just being a football coach. We got to be a product of the athletic department. We got to be a family. We got to show support. And, you know, we got to help these athletic directors out because they have the hardest job, and they have families just like we have families that they want to get home to. So we can step up, you know, hey, man, you know, I'll go down and watch baseball this time. Oh, I stay locked up for volleyball. I used to do it for my boy Ken over there in Providence. Love Ken. You know, love him, Providence people. You know, everybody down take shots at it. It's just fun jokes.
You're trying to make up earlier. Huh? It's okay.
Well, he was the best player on the team. There's no lie. Can I tell you that? There's no shade. It just he going to Arizona State.
You know, I think the big question that coaches got to look at once we figure out what are these 7 games going to look like is if you do get a scrimmage date, who do you scrimmage? I mean, the obvious answer would be, the easy answer would be, we'll scrimmage one of the week 1, 2, 3, or 4 opponents that you're not playing. You know, but as a coach, a lot of times you put a lot of thought into who your scrimmage opponent is going to be. Maybe they do something similar to a team you see week 1 or week 2 or a team in your conference that you need to work against that you know you won't see that particular defensive look or you won't see that particular offensive scheme the first couple of weeks. You know, so it's not quite as easy as saying, well, we're not playing Hunter Huss anymore at Central. Let's get them on a scrimmage and let's rock and roll. You know, it's going to be a little bit more than that. And you guys are exactly right. These athletic directors are about to just work massive amounts of hours. You know, these schedules are going to be all over the place with different sports. And, you know, in a place like Charlotte where your football schedule determines who you play in basketball and other sports because you play the same teams you play in the fall, you know, it's good. There's going to be a lot of work to put in there. And, you know, you're right. What happens if an LEA says our school district isn't going to participate? You know, that's a big can of worms that could open up there. But you're right. There are a lot of questions that we need to have answered. The coaches need to have answered, but really the athletic directors need to have answered. And I imagine the county athletic directors are now in constant communications with the state, and they're working on a plan, potentially have been working on a plan to make this as effortless as possible. But we've got what till November before the first sports begin to play. What is it, like swimming and some indoor sports, basketball after that?
Volleyball is in November too.
Volleyball, yeah. And I think cross country is going. So yes. We got a little bit of time, but you know, a volleyball team, I'm guessing they're still going to play. Was it 12 games that the other schools are playing or the other sports are playing?
I thought it was 14.
14. Yeah, and they'll be 2 games a week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're about to be busy. It's about to be a whirlwind of time, especially when you're out of school, especially when these ADs, a lot of them are teaching 1 or 2 classes, especially when these kind of smaller coaches like soccer coaches or volleyball coaches who may pick their own schedules. You got to remember they're teaching online entirely right now, a lot of them. And if they're like I am, and all of my teaching buddies that I'm talking to right now, like we're like, holy crap! Please give us a lot of grace because this is about to be a tumultuous start to the school year potentially. That's a lot of extra work to put in on top of the extra work they're doing because they're teaching a way that they've never taught before.
Good stuff. Good
And
stuff.
you know what, though, Coach? This is why we gotta add the pressure on the CMS, man. This is why now we need to start turning the heat up on them. Okay, the NCHSAA has now done their job. Now y'all got to get off y'all butt and do your job too. And I'm not saying that you're not doing your job, but I'm saying right now we need you to do a better job. You know, these kids now that we have an idea, the CMS LEAs and the people who are the decision makers in CMS, you need to be in the office early tomorrow, man. And I don't advocate for that for anybody because I get up and go to my office early every day, you know. But I am saying that now that we have a base, now that we made a freaking decision, all right, man, it's time for y'all to go to work now too, man. Don't be the Debbie Downer at the freaking party, man. Everybody is happy right now. Some people are upset, but at least we got an understanding. You know, don't be that guy or girl. Don't be that county who is now trying to freaking twiddle your thumbs and slow pacing this process. These kids, these parents in this community are looking for you now to step up and make a decision. Once you make a decision, we're going to put the same pressure on y'all that we put on the state system. Now it's time for you guys to step up. So I'm expecting a lot of great things to come from CMS. CMS, don't disappoint this community, man. That's all I'm saying. Do not disappoint the community.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, Coach. I mean, you're right at it. Everything you said, you know, that big question is going to be now. These larger systems, 9 out of the top 10 largest LEAs in the state that have not been working out, will they mandate that they have to wait until we enter phase 3 per the governor to begin some type of workout? And then the other thing that we also have to think about that the state, I don't think mentioned today, and once again, I was out on the road, so I missed all of it, is dead periods. Is the state going to come in and say, we're going to have a dead period for these sports from November the 4th until February the 4th or whatever that date is? It's the start date now. You know, those are two big questions that need to be found out pretty quickly. What are the individual LEAs going to do? And then what is the state going to do about dead periods?
I always agree. I think CMS is going to wait till the phase come out. Do I agree with that decision? No, but I think that's what they're going to do because that's how CMS rolls. They're a very low-risk decision maker. They make the lowest risk. Now, everybody's right. You know, they need to just go ahead and say, hey, even though we're doing virtual learning, we're going to allow this to go through. I agree. I really do think they're going to do that. But I think they're really going to wait till phase 3 start because you got all the low impact stuff going because cross country, they go run right now. They go outside and it's raining out here, but they go out and run right now and just get in. Like Coach Bill do. Coach Bill wake up about 3 o'clock, go run about 5 miles and come back in and take me another nap. But that's just a mentality of being cross country run. You know, we're warriors. You gotta be a warrior. But I agree with what everybody's saying. You know, CMS. You know, I'm proud of the CMS. I know how CMS do. I worked for CMS for 4 years. They don't take the low risk, and people gotta understand their school districts. I'm not saying, hey, I agree with it, but I understand they're going to take the lowest risk. But once they move to phase 3, which I think we're going to move, I don't know when, but it's going to happen because that's the only way all this sports don't go happen because we got to make money. That's why they're playing cross country and volleyball right now because a lot of people, you know, only the parents come. It's not really big. The problem is it was big. It was big. We love volleyball because we win and got it. You know, at West Shaw, we love volleyball. But basketball and football are really the major money makers. But like Mooresville and Lake Norman, baseball, even Providence, South make AK, baseball make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? So That's the big thing. They have to make money. These athletic departments are not making money. It's not politics. You got to make money. In the world, you got to make money. You can't make money, it don't make sense.
So I want to share Coach Jupiter Wilson, another dedicated watcher of the show, says there are no dead periods after school starts.
Is that what the state has come out and said now?
Mm-hmm.
I think they have I think there's the 5-day dead period at the end of the semester for testing. Yeah.
That's the only one.
I think that's
leading up to a new sports season beginning as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something. I had to go back and look at the presentation today.
Like
their dead periods were addressed. Yeah, I do remember the 5-day dead period at the end of the season.
Good job, Juke. Good job, Juke.
Yeah. All right. I want to ask another question that came up. As far as recruiting and offers go, we talked about it. We touched on it earlier. Kids with no offers right now. We've kind of talked about recruiting a little bit. College coaches right now are all over the place. Some are saying you need to go out and get seen, film yourself, doing workouts outside, do all kind of different things. And then some college coaches are saying, it's okay. We're still going to, do recruiting, even if, football's moved to February. They're still going to have spots open. So in you guys' opinion, what have you been hearing, from different sources about recruiting, how it's working right now? Because we have had, some weeks and a couple months now with this pandemic going on.
Here's the truth, Pat. I was talking to one of my good buddies who's an FCS coach last night, and this is what he told me. As an FCS coach, he said, there's a really good chance that I'm getting ready to have a huge pay cut in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He told me about how all the Power 5 schools were getting rid of their GAs. They were trying to keep them around, but you are potentially going to have a lot of college coaches who are going to be out of jobs coming up soon because there's no sports season. And while we can all say like, hey, these guys have nothing else to do, the majority of them have nothing else to do but watch film. The reality is these jokers are worried about how they're going to be paying their mortgage in 2 or 3 months. There's a lot more to it than just what immediately meets the eyes. And there's a lot of change that could happen in a college staff. I mean, we all know that a lot of kids sign early and then only a week later to find out their coaching staff left. I think that it's going to be extremely tough for these college coaches right now. We've talked about this before. There's not really new film that can be seen. I was talking to a high school coach last night who was lamenting about one of his players who I think is just a stud of a player who hadn't been offered yet. And he was like, man, I don't know what these guys want. But the problem is there's only so many workouts at the park that you can put online and really see anything, especially if the film quality is crappy. I just don't know. I don't know. I think it's going to be really tough. It's going to be tough for college coaches. It's going to be tough for high school kids. And then another thing to look at, all these JUCO programs that have canceled their season as well. All the California schools canceled it 2 months ago. And now you've got these guys who are at Division II schools or FCS schools whose season has been canceled, who's trying to move up to a higher level where they're playing. We saw the kid from Harrisburg High School that is transferring to South Carolina. There's a lot of potential movement going on behind the scenes. I think there's a lot of discord right now in college football with the Pac-12 demands that were made, with some of the issues that have arisen out of programs and coaches right now. I mean, Coach Billups touched on it a little bit, but I think there's a lot of discord among college coaches right now and a lot of confusion and questions about what the future brings. And here's this off topic. You heard it here from me first. I told my buddy, the FCS coach last night, I said, if college football does not get played this fall and it doesn't get played in the springtime, and then God forbid it doesn't get played next fall, I think we may see the end of college football. I think that this coronavirus, the effects of it may go on farther than just a whole bunch of people dying and a whole bunch of people getting sick and school and everything else being jacked up. I mean, I think that college football is at great risk if they cannot play. I think that a lot of these colleges didn't play this fall because of these talks of players forming unions or whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that's going to impact high school kids getting recruited.
Real quick before I would say this. It's like what me and Crow Will said earlier. Student athlete. All you guys do, it sucked. This is the first time anything like this had happened in the modern era. But I'll tell you one thing they don't stop giving out. They're not stop giving out academic scholarships.
Facts.
And y'all don't want to hear me say that. But hit them books, man. Hit them books. You still go be, everybody's not going to the league. Everybody could go be a doctor. You go be an engineer. We got wonderful programs out here. You go be a lawyer. There's so many wonderful schools around. But that's one thing you can control. And that's why I kept on saying I dislike the message that I was seeing with we want to play. This is all I got. Me as a football coach, a kid come tell me, hey, I don't even want to go to school no more because football was the only thing that made me get through it. No, young man. One day, you don't have to make some tough life decisions. And you don't be down. But I don't want to get up. I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I do. You just can't give up because things don't go your way. You got to make a way. Guys, y'all got a wonderful opportunity come Monday. Hit them books. Get them GPAs up.
Yes.
Apply. They're lowering their expectation for college and their qualifications down. Like Reid, like coaches, that's what we do. You got to involve and adapt. And most of y'all die on this hill. We don't, if they cancel, what we don't do. You know what? Hey, we don't produce some wonderful scholars because that's what we still should do. Like, come on, guys. Like, I wanted to go play at Miami, but they didn't want to look at me when I was in school, and I had to go to Fayetteville State, and I loved it, But it's all right, man. It's all right, man. Your dreams still to come true. You can come do something else. You could be great. I'm a great asset management analyst for Spectrum right now. And I get to, impact my neighborhood. So, hey, I'm sorry for being so.
No, that's right on the head, Coach.
Get your education. Get your education.
I'm gonna say this. I said this in the tweet, man. Sports is a business. Okay, this is a great opportunity for parents, coaches, communities to teach these kids sports as a business. We just heard Coach McClamrock say that if we go 3 consecutive seasons without there being some football, that we may see the end. And here's the reason why that's validated. Business in general works on quarters. You got 4 business quarters in a year. We're getting ready to finish the last 2 quarters of this business year the same way we finished the first 2 quarters of this business year. And then we're going into next year's business year, and we have an opportunity to increase our fiscal opportunity, how much money we can make, because sports is a business. As much as y'all kids love playing this ain't free. It costs. The balls cost, the lights cost, the refs cost, the coaches cost, the little headsets, they cost. Everything comes with a cost. The bus costs. All of this comes with a cost, and your ability to play that sport and playing that sport then allows for us to be able to then pay for those things and hopefully make a profit. But when you're in a pandemic and we can't have people sitting beside each other, we can't fill a stadium, that means the amount of revenue that can be brought in to be able to make sure all of those things can happen doesn't exist. So I understand the notion, guys, that you guys just want to play. But listen, Even when you was playing Pop Warner, your parents had to pay for it. And I know that that's not a reality that you have had to come to. That's not a reality that as a child you have had to come to and see and understand. But those are realities. When you become an adult, you'll know you have bills to pay. And ain't nobody going to accept that because it's a pandemic. You know, at some point, these things that are in place that are helping to shelter people during the pandemic, those things are going to go out the window at some point. Mm-hmm. And society is going to say, we've got to get back to business because the same way that Coach said that football can mess around and be ended. The society as we know it currently, if we don't have revenue-bearing industries, it could come to an end too. There's only so many stimulus checks that this country can get. Mm-hmm. And that is a reality. That this is business. Some of you guys need to be doing exactly what Coach Billups tell you. You need to go get locked in on your books. You need to go study business, law, medicine, STEM. Go study something that's going to provide a livelihood and a quality of living for you and your family. This is not the time for you to be, I can't play football. Okay? Mm-hmm. We get it. We all want to see football right now. But what are you going to do about your future? And that's my only message, man. I think we all kind of circling around that band because the coaches, I'm going to be tougher on y'all too, man. Y'all got to stop doing this too and feeding into these emotions, man. We got to be leaders. We got to be leaders. And so as much as I can, anytime I'm on this platform, I'm going to challenge you too. Be a leader. That's my point.
All right. So, you know, I love, you know, what everyone said tonight. You know, I want to applaud the NCHSAA for coming out and getting this calendar done. It took a long time. It's like we've been on this crazy long roller coaster ride, and we finally were able to get off. Now with CMS, please don't put us back on one again. Please. Well, like I said earlier, man, the NCHSA done set us up. All you got to do now is just spike the ball, and you know, we let us allow athletics and remote learning, and hopefully, you know, that is a decision that's made in a timely fashion. You know, if it takes a week or two, that's okay, but you know, let's just get this done, man, and move on, because it's draining to keep talking about, you know, this kind of stuff, man. It really is. What's that, Brandon?
I said we gotta get to February, though.
Yeah. We got some stuff coming. You know, it's gonna be some fun stuff coming. You know, fill the gap. So I want to thank our special guest Joe Hughes that came on tonight from the Gaston Gazette. Brought some great insight. Great questions for our guest. I want to thank the panel for everything that they brought tonight. Just awesome messages and energy. And we'll do it again next week. Same bat chime, same bat channel, 7:30 p.m. live here, Football Focus Weekly. The best prep high school football talk show in the state of North Carolina. Per Kenny McClambrock. Thanks for watching, guys. Y'all have a good night. Have a great week. We'll see you on social media soon. Thanks. Mm-hmm.